Today we're diving into the psychology of wealth, and we're going to tackle a really surprising question. Why do so many incredibly smart people struggle with money?
So let's just jump right in with a pretty wild idea. What if your biggest asset, your brain power, your raw intelligence, is actually the one thing holding you back financially? It sounds backward, right? But the sources we're looking at today suggest this happens way more often than you'd think.
All right, so let's get into our first big idea. We're going to call it the intelligence trap. This is the paradox of how being exceptionally bright can sometimes lead to some pretty, well, not so bright financial decisions. So what does this trap actually look like? Well, thinkers like the legendary investor Charlie Munger have pointed out a few patterns. For starters, really smart people, they get bored with simple answers. They crave complexity, thinking a sophisticated strategy must be a better one, when often it just adds risk. Then there's the whole status game. It's easy to start chasing the things that look like wealth, the fancy car, the huge house, instead of building actual financial security. And of course, there's ego. The same overconfidence that helps you crush it in your career can make you think you can outsmart the entire market. It's a classic case of confusing book smarts with street smarts.
And this quote from Munger, man, it just nails it. He's saying the real secret to winning at the long game of investing isn't about making a few genius moves. Not at all. It's about consistently, relentlessly avoiding the big, dumb mistakes. Turns out, wealth isn't built on flashes of brilliance. It's built on a foundation of disciplined, sensible choices year after year.
Okay, so that's the intelligence trap. But that leads us right into the next psychological hurdle. And this one gets almost everyone, no matter how smart you are. It's called the hedonic treadmill. You see, psychologists have this term, hedonic adaptation. And it's basically our incredible human superpower to get used to, well, pretty much anything. Just think about it. You get that big promotion you've been working for. You get a huge raise, and you feel on top of the world for a little while. And then, before you know it, that new salary just feels normal. It becomes your new baseline. And this little quirk of our brains, it has huge implications for our money. And this is where that treadmill really gets you. It fuels this vicious cycle we call lifestyle creep. You see how it works? Your income goes up, which is great, but then your spending kind of quietly rises to match it. That new upgraded lifestyle, it becomes the new normal, the new baseline. And pretty soon, you don't feel any happier or any more secure than you did before the raise. You're earning more, but you feel like you're just running in place. Sound familiar?
Okay, so wait a minute. If being a genius isn't the answer, and earning more and more money doesn't actually guarantee you'll feel secure, what on earth is the secret? Well, that brings us to a really simple but incredibly powerful idea.
Let me tell you this story. It's one that Vanguard founder John Bogle used to tell. So the authors Kurt Vonnegut and Joseph Heller are at this crazy lavish party thrown by a billionaire. At one point, Vonnegut leans over to Heller and says, our host here probably made more money today than your novel Catch-22 has made in its entire history.
And Heller's reply, it's just two words, but it is everything. He says, yes, but I have something he will never have. Enough. Boom! That one word, enough, is the secret. It's the emergency exit off the hedonic treadmill. It's the skill of knowing when to make the goalpost stop moving.
In that one little idea, it creates two totally different ways of living your financial life. On one side, you've got the chasing more mindset. The goalpost is always moving, success is defined by what other people have, and you're constantly taking bigger and bigger risks. It's pure anxiety. But on the other side, you've got the knowing enough mindset. Here, the goalpost is anchored to your values. You define success, and because of that, you avoid stupid risks, and you find something much more valuable than money, peace of mind.
Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, right? But how do we actually do it? How do we stop chasing and start building a life around this idea of enough? Well, that brings us to the system that can fix it. So the solution isn't some ridiculously complex algorithm. It's actually a pretty straightforward behavioral framework. It's the antidote to the problems we've been talking about. Step 1, defining your enough. That's how you get off the hedonic treadmill. Steps 2 and 3, staying in your circle of competence and using inversion to just plain avoid stupidity. That's how you escape the intelligence trap. And finally, building a simple, rule-based process is what makes it all stick, because it takes your own worst enemy, your emotions, out of the driver's seat. Now, defining enough isn't about filling out a spreadsheet. It's a life design project. It means you have to ask yourself some really deep questions, like, what kind of lifestyle genuinely makes me happy? Not my neighbor, not the people on Instagram, me. How much money would actually make me feel safe and secure, even if the market went crazy? And what risks am I just not willing to take with my own peace of mind? This is how you anchor your ambition to your own life, not to someone else's.
And all of this, it builds to one final and honestly, the most important shift in thinking we need to make. It's about answering the question, what's the point? What is all this money actually for? You know, the writer Morgan Housel points out something so crucial here. Getting wealthy and staying wealthy are two completely different skills. They are not the same thing. Getting rich often requires taking big risks, being optimistic, and really putting yourself out there. But staying rich? Whoa, that's a totally different ballgame. That requires the opposite. It requires humility and a healthy dose of fear that everything you've built could disappear.
And why is that so important? Because the money, it's not the prize, it's the shield. It's the tool you use to protect the things in your life that are truly invaluable: your reputation, your freedom, your family and friends. The concept of enough is what tells you when to stop rolling the dice, when to stop taking risks that could put the things that really matter in jeopardy.
So, forget the luxury cars and the big houses for a second. The real return on your savings, the highest form of wealth there is autonomy. It's control over your time. It's the simple, incredible ability to wake up every single morning and say, I can do whatever I want today. That is the ultimate luxury. And that leaves us right where we need to be, with the single most important financial question you will ever ask yourself. It has absolutely nothing to do with market returns or economic forecasts. It has everything to do with the life you want to live. So, what's your enough?